Hey, Bantu.
Hi.
Hi, Lebo.
How are you
How are
guys?
you?
I'm good.
I do want us to wait for Paballo. I don't want her to miss anything. But you and I maybe can just briefly have a conversation, just chilled vibes. How are you? First
I'm
time meeting?
right. And I feel like
Yeah,
I know you. I feel like I know you so well.
yeah. I think it's the community. I think I feel like I know a lot of people because of the community. Let
Yeah.
me, Paballo. I think she's going to join us just now.
Okay. Oh, there she
Yay!
is.
Yay, 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 yay,
Hello.
yay.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now, guys, the sound on my side is quite bad. Like I can hear sound coming from your side, both of you, but it's a bit soft. But everyone else can hear you, so I'll be strong, ne? I'm strong. Anyway, we are all here.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
How
Welcome,
are
Lebo.
you?
Thank you for joining our
Hey.
live. So
Thank
today
you.
we will be interviewing Lebo Mazibuko. I know Paballo says we mustn't call it an interview, we must call it a conversation, a discussion. She doesn't want
Yes.
it to be very formal. So welcome
Yeah.
to the discussion, everyone. We are here with Lebo Mazibuko, like I said, the author of Bantu Knots. And with me, I am with Paballo. Paballo is a fellow booktuber, fellow bookstagrammer. I don't know if you want to say hi, buddy.
Where are your copies? Hello.
I don't
Hi.
know
Yo,
why.
mine is on the table in the lounge.
Mine is in my bedroom, and I usually have it.
Wow.
I don't know. Like,
Guys.
I
Yeah.
think my head was all over the place right now. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I think with me, I was just nervous because I've never done this whole live thing. I called Paballo like a few seconds before the live. I'm like, Paballo, how do you get it into selfie mode? Like what do I do? So, but I do have the book. We all have the book and we really enjoyed reading it. So before we
Yeah.
get into the discussion, I just want to indicate that Paballo and I have decided to sort of structure it, even if we're not going to be too formal. We
Yeah.
will first start by asking you questions that will help us get to know you better. Who is Lebo? Tell us about yourself. And then we will
Okay.
also try to tap into Lebo, the author. And then after the get to know Lebo questions, we will move into your writing journey, your writing process. And then
Okay.
lastly, we'll get into the discussion about the book Bantu Knots. We will talk about the characters, the themes, and we will also allow everyone else to ask questions. So both Babel and I will check our screens. If there's a question, we will ask you some of those questions. I know there are some people who DM'd me questions during the week, so I have added those questions on the list of things that I want to ask you. So let's get started, ladies. So, Lebo, tell us about yourself. This is now, I know, interview style. So tell us about yourself.
That's always such a tricky question. It's like, what do you say?
Right?
Um,
Right?
yeah. Well, I'm a storyteller. I like to think of myself like as a storyteller because I grew up in the theater world. I did drama in high school, varsity. So I was telling stories in different ways, not necessarily through novels and stuff like that. So
Mm.
yeah, my passion is just telling stories, and I'm a theater baby, basically, to put it in a very short, yeah, sentence.
You're a theater baby. So I do know of your drama background. So that is quite interesting. So storytelling is definitely your thing. But how did you get into, like, when did you make the decision that, you know what, I want to write a book, When did you decide that?
It was a mistake. I fell into it accidentally. Um, I was right. I do poetry, and that's a passion of mine. So I wanted to write a book of poetry, and I had these three different voices of women from three generations, and I just wanted to expand on their stories. So I had all these poems and stuff, and I just wanted more, because with poetry it's very concise. And so I wanted to expand on their stories and on their journeys. So that's how these 3 characters came about, and that's how I started writing the story. So it wasn't a conscious decision that I'm gonna write a novel. No. Yeah.
In the book, I know we're not talking about the book yet, but in the book you mentioned like porridge all the time, papa le cabbage, magwinya le snook. What is your like favorite childhood meal that you still love to this day?
I like tripe. I like dumpling. That's
okay.
Yeah. I'm a Mukhodu girl. I love Mukhodu. I like chicken feet. But yeah, let's stumble. I like that.
Those are classic food, ne? Those are also my favorites. Another thing is, and I know Tshegofatso is also like very, I call them Bible thumpers. People who really love God and went to church throughout their lives. And from the book, I can pick up that there are some similarities from the character to you. So, what is your favorite scripture?
Oh my word. I think now I'm gonna get into trouble because it seems like I know the Bible so bad. I think it's Habakkuk.
I don't.
2. I think it's Habakkuk 2, where it's like write down the vision.
About the vision, yes.
You see, people's a girl.
Yes, so help. Write down the vision, and basically that's my favorite scripture because it explains a lot about the fact that the vision is for an appointed time. And that it does tell you that sometimes when you have a dream, it sort of delays, it takes time to come into pass, but there's an assurance that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. I actually also like that verse. There's a lot of them, but that's also one of my favorite. So just jumping onto that, are you now one of those people who is into like manifestations and yes, no? Do you do that sometimes?
What do you mean by manifestations?
Okay, not manifestations, but manifesting. So, like there's this trend, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I know a lot of people who make reference to that particular verse from the Bible. They talk a lot about manifesting, speak things into existence before they happen because, they've already happened. So do you also believe that, are you one of those people who does that? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I believe in alignment. That's what I call it. I believe that once you're in alignment with God and God's purpose for your life, things sort of start to fall into place. Because a lot of the times when we chase other things that is not necessarily where you're supposed to be walking, the path that you're supposed to be walking. So you feel like things are not working out, or you're in a job that's not working out, or you're trying to push for something, you're just out of alignment. And the minute that you get into alignment, you see things, doors sort of opening and opportunities coming along. So I don't know if it's manifesting necessarily, but I do believe it's just getting into alignment with God's purpose for your life, for things to sort of start moving.
Yeah, no, I get you. So another question I have for you is that you are a book reviewer and you're also a writer. So how does that feel? You've been reading people's books, maybe critiquing them here and there, and now you are the writer and people are going to be maybe critiquing your book. How do you feel about playing those two roles?
I think I've paused a bit on the reviewing because I'm like, maybe don't be rating people's books. I don't want to. I don't want to rate people's books anymore. I think what I'll do is I'll recommend. If I like a book, I'll recommend. But yeah, with like doing a full-on review, like 4-star, 5-star, I'm like,
hey, 2 stars.
Hey. So yeah, so I've been like a little quiet, and trying to figure out what I want to do with Buang. But I think I'll recommend. If I like something, I'll definitely recommend it, but I won't rate them like I used to.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Okay.
I get it.
Would you mind telling us, like, give us a bit of a background about where you came from? Because I know you've got brothers. Did you grow up Kokasi? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, I stayed with my mom and my dad. Kopimville, which is where the story is based.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent most of my childhood into early 20s, Kopimville, and yeah, that's like the neighborhood that raised me, you know, like I was that kid, like I grew up, I had the whole Kasi experience.
Continues to read says, where in Pimville?
Yeah.
Because on 5.
Because Zone 5. Okay,
Yeah.
Zone 5, mom continues to read. That's the response. And just for interest's sake, is there a couch where there are guys who sit by the couch? You know, I'm just thinking of something from the book. Or what? I'm just thinking about the book.
Not where I grew, not in my street. But I think this is common in many ghettos, guys, where or many townships where you find guys baplomeko kokoneng. PMV Zone 5 wasn't as, we didn't have those guys on my street, but there were guys in different sections. You'll find a group just chilling, whether balhalama daisi, whether they just drinking, whether they talking about sports, whether, you know, and it doesn't matter which neighborhood that you're from, but just generally it was just a common thing that I always saw.
Yeah. All right.
And then what is your experience with them? Do you have like an experience, you know, with me? Every time, I don't know, like every time I go by a corner and then I see guys, my legs just do something I don't understand. Do you have like that experience as well? Or maybe I'm like crazy.
Guys, guys. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I always say this to my friends, like guys, like it doesn't matter.
Too much.
It doesn't matter where you are, especially the like construction sites or whatever. Guys will always holla, guys will always say hi. I've just gotten to a point where I say hi back, I greet back, and a lot of the times that's holla. You know, they be playful, but I just sometimes feel like they can't help themselves but to say something, especially if you're walking alone. It's like you want to hide yourself, but I'm at the point, I've gone through every phase. I've gone through the phases of ignoring them. I've gone through the phases of swearing at them. I've gone through the phase. Now I'm just like, hey. I laugh and I keep it moving. Like, I don't know if
I think we've all gone through those phases. Yeah. No, I was saying I think we've all gone through those phases, you know. So if you're from Kasi, there will be those guys. I think because I lived in 2 different locations. I mean, I think I started Kuharangua, then Mabopane. So obviously in different places, like there are those that sit by the corner, you know, there's maybe a rock by the corner and you find them sitting there by some big rock. Then there are those guys, those plaza, when you go buy bread, you know. I think it's just the worst thing for you as the girl. Yeah, but we have been through those phases. I also went through those phases where I was mean, you know, get back over, you know.
I think it gets better the older you get.
Yeah.
The older you get, you become more. I don't know if we're getting used to it or you're numb to that sort of behavior, but you're not as, because it feels invasive, especially when you're young. It feels very like, like to have
Yes.
10 people looking at you and we won. It's invasive, it's uncomfortable. But so I don't know if it's a matter of us being numb to it or being used to it or whatever, but it gets better the older you are. And you learn to brush it off, hey?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I think most of us have learned to do that.
So what are you currently reading?
Oh my gosh. What am I currently I'm reading Suitcase of Memory. Which is also another Kwela book that I'm it's another Kwela book, and I'm finding it interesting because we have the same publisher and the same, so I'm like trying to compare notes, trying to figure out what my publisher's style is, what she likes, what she's interested in. But it's a very different book to mine because it's set during apartheid. Her take also, it's like a dead character. This character is dead, so it's a beautiful book. It's very well written. Yeah, but you should check it out. It's beautiful. It's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of good things about it as well. Yeah, so we'll check it out definitely. But in terms of your writing process, take us through your process of writing Bantu Notes, from the time the idea came to you. I know writers will tell you, no, an idea doesn't just come, it's a combination of things. But then from the first time you started the journey, whether it was when you were still very, very young, when you were like in a lady's age, until the moment you decided to say, I'm done, this is my first draft, I'm going to submit it very soon to publishers. What was the journey?
Sure. Like I said, it started with poetry. So I had a whole lot of poems and drew chapters from the stuff that I had written. And obviously it's a very different book to what it is now. A very, very different book. I wrote a number of drafts because I think I took a long route. If I had just started writing chapters from the get-go, it would have cut the journey shorter. So I wrote a lot of drafts before I even submitted. I'm sure I wrote about 10 drafts before I sent it out to publishers to look at. But once I had a full manuscript, I was jumping from this chapter. I'd write chapter 5. Tomorrow I'm writing chapter 21. Like whatever idea comes into my mind or whichever scene that I see playing out, that's what I'm going to write on that day. And then I will connect the dots later.
Yeah.
It takes longer like that, but yeah.
When exactly did you start like saying, now I'm writing a novel? I've written poetry, but now this is what I think I want to do.
I started enjoying, because in school, in varsity, I did script writing, and I didn't like it. And so I just figured maybe I'm just a poet. But when I started working like on the chapters, I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, so this is the sort of writing I'm supposed to be doing. It sort of made sense because that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it felt easier and natural. So yeah, it's been a few years now, maybe 5 years now, that I'm like, okay, this is it for me. This is what I love. This is the direction that I'm supposed to be going. Because I knew I was a writer. I just couldn't figure out what sort of writer I was. I tried scripts, I
Yeah.
tried plays, I tried different things, but yeah.
So, in terms of your brand, Nem, if you would define your brand, Nem, what would you say is your brand? And I can help you. So maybe focus on telling us what your focus is. So in terms of what stories do you want to tell? So obviously we've read Bantu a lot and we know what it's about. But going forward, what is that thing that you want to focus on? What stories do you want to tell? And you can also tap into genre. So maybe tackle it using that angle, the question regarding what is your brand?
Definitely I enjoy writing fiction. Someone asked me to write their life story and I was just like, I enjoy being creative. I enjoy allowing my mind to go wherever. But my focus is definitely on black women and telling black girl stories, black women stories, like very, very South African stories. Yeah. Very South African stories, but about us. And I don't think I want to be restricted to like serious stuff. I do want to try maybe write like a full-on romance thing. I want to try different things, I want to try period pieces, whether it's telling a historical tale about our ancestors, whatever, but the essence of it has to be a black South African female story.
I love it. And we don't have a lot of those books in South Africa, and I think that's a really good market to tap into. Because a lot of us, most of us, grew up Modikasi, and I identified so much with the characters in the book. And I can imagine a lot of people identifying with those characters, and I think it's very good that you were saying, like, I want to tap into South African women, because most of the book that you read, you can tell that, okay, it's creativity, it comes from the mind, but are there stories that people can relate to? And I appreciate that much about this book, because I think a lot of us would relate to it based on those characters and their backgrounds.
Definitely.
I wanted, that was important to me, because a lot of the times you read stories and you're like, ish, I wonder what they sound like. I've always wondered that in my head, Yes, there's always dialogue in books, but sometimes a lot of the dialogue is in English, that you don't quite get the gist of speech patterns, of you don't get the full. So I maybe that's my drama head coming into play, but I think that's what makes people relate. It's the setting, it's the characters, it's how they talk, it's everyday people that you know and can identify with.
Yeah, no, I was saying I totally agree. The story is so relatable. When I read it, I was like, but I've had this discussion. This has happened. So it's quite relatable. So what I'm also going to try doing, I just want us also to consider the questions that other people did ask. So some people are putting their questions in the chat box. So maybe Paballo and I, we can just check if there's a question. But there is a question I got just before this interview from a lady called Iseto. So she wants you to explain the challenges that you had in publishing your book. And if there were challenges, please explain how you overcame those challenges.
I think the main challenge is getting published.
Like challenge
people, like people getting someone who gets it, getting someone who gets what you're trying to say. And also my main thing is, because I didn't study creative writing, I studied drama. So I know how to write about plot, I know characters, I know dialogue, I know settings and all of that. But it's a little bit different writing a script or a play and writing a novel. It's quite different. So the technical part of it, I struggled with it a little bit. And luckily, I found a publisher who believed in Naledi, who believed in the story that I was trying to tell. So I got rejections, a lot of them, and eventually I found someone, and they signed me up into a program. So I did like a year's program where I got to polish the manuscript, where I got to learn how to work through some of the technical aspects of writing that I wasn't aware of and needed to fix. And yeah, after that, it was all systems go. So yeah, it was just mainly about getting the technical parts of my writing correct and fixed and polished, and to see where I was going wrong. Also, my manuscript was too long. I didn't even realize, you know. So condensing it and cutting away things that are not necessary, because I feel like it's always good to have someone outside to tell you, no, this is not necessary, because you get attached to your own, you believe your own hype, you know, you get attached to your own stuff. You're like, no, but I really love this character. Like, it's like, but how does this character help the story? You know, can the story survive without this, or can the story survive without this chapter? Which are things I got to work through, and that once I got that,
All right. I hope, so if you're watching, I hope you've been answered. If you haven't, or you have a follow-up question, do drop it in the chat box. We will consider all your questions. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add, Paballo, regarding the writing process?
Yes. Where do you get these characters? Are these characters people you grew up with? Is Naledi you?
She's Naledi. I think she's Naledi.
She's definitely Naledi. Can you say the Bantu not?
Guys, this is the first time I do this hairstyle, and I did it for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I even forgot my book, like, because I'm there busy trying to do this. But anyway, no, I think a lot of people have said I am Naledi. I think there's probably parts of me in her. Some of these characters are women. I'm surrounded by women. I have 3 grandmothers, and I've taken bits and pieces of. I hang out with my grandmothers a lot. I've taken bits and pieces out of them. My mom is a very churchy woman. Both my parents, my dad also very churchy, you know, and even my friends. I think I took bits and pieces from my friends and put their experiences into the book, because my friends are very different, and we're a different group, you know. So everybody around me, I think, has influenced these characters or played a role in creating these characters.
Yeah. Okay, so which scene would you say is like you? Maybe one of them. Yeah. Like experience a one lady that you can say, okay, this one is definitely me.
Oh, the drama stuff, the acting stuff, the action stuff. I did a show called Sophia Town, so I'm attached to it.
Okay.
I think being on an arts campus and studying art and being around musicians and painters and whatever, I think that, although I don't know a saxophone player personally, I don't know one.
Do you want to tell me there's no Caesar in your life?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
there's no soccer player, there's no saxophone player. That I think just came out of my own head. But the church part of it, yeah, definitely. I went to church, well, on Sundays, not like every day, but on Sundays it was a thing. Yeah, but I don't think my parents were as Mama Nora. Like, I'm a girl who played in the streets. You know, I had my freedom. I was those kids, Nabadlalang Mkusha and Chicago, all those things that you see happening. I was that kid who had those experiences, you know. Yeah.
So I have a question regarding Dudu Busani Dube. You know, I know somehow she played a role in your book. I just want to know, like, what role did she play? Is it just that comment she wrote on the cover of your book, or did she mentor you? Because she is one of the biggest, you know, writers in our country. So having her connected with your book, you know, it just, yeah, it's quite exciting. Quite exciting.
Yeah, it's cool. I think it's funny because I read her stuff when I started. I started like this book club thing, and the first books that I wanted to focus on were on her books. So it was like when I didn't even think of Dudu. I thought Dudu is too busy for the likes of me. So when my publisher is like, no, I'm gonna reach out to her and see what she says about reading your book and stuff. I was like, what? You know, I wasn't even gonna suggest her. But yeah, she's so sweet. She's so gracious. She's amazing. She's not a person who thinks she's too busy, Vele, or you know, I don't have time for small people or first-time writers, or you know, I don't have time to read your manuscript. So she was one of the first people to actually read the book before it came out, and give her thoughts. And she told me straight up, she's like, people have sent me stuff and I've been like, nope, thank you. I'm not gonna put my name as part of the book. So it's a big compliment that she thinks that she enjoyed it, that she thinks it's a great book, that she would want to put a shout. And yeah, she's very sweet. Shame, she's a very very lovely lady.
All right. So that's great. That's great. So maybe we can get into the book now. Yeah, Paballo, you fine with that? Getting into the characters, the themes.
That's
I know
like
this
my
is your
favorite
favorite
part of the section.
Yeah. Yeah, you can lead us, Paballo. It's fine. Your favorite section is the O.
All right. So can we talk about Mam Nora? Funny, I like my Mam Nora and I don't like her again.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of Mam Nora in our society.
Yeah.
And it's those people who can play a role in how people's outcomes become better than worse. For example, there's a scene where, you know, Naledi, she comes home late and she locks the doors, she locks the gates, she switches off the lights. We have a lot of those situations, and you know, that's how she ended up next door. But people like them, they chase us away when we are doing like genuine stuff, you know. So yes, you say you have like a Mam Nora in your life. Your granny, I think she passed on.
No. Oh, my I have a lot of grandmothers.
Which of them is Mam Nora?
I have 3 living grandmothers, and I do have a grandmother who passed away. Her name was Mam Nora, but she was not Mam Nora, she was just Nora.
Okay.
Mama Nitoli. But she, listen, she's the opposite. She introduced me to like Soul Food, the movie. And if you know Soul Food, the movie.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, no, she was the opposite. She was the opposite of Mam Nora. She was so funny. She was funny. She let us watch horror movies. I think the first time I heard about Scream, even Scream the movie, was with her.
Yeah.
Onatulako Alex. She was funny.
Yeah.
But my other grannies have bits and pieces of Mam Nora, the character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The other ones do. And I think my mother herself has bits and pieces of her. Just not as intense. Just not as intense. I think I stretched Mam Nora's character a bit. But I think, like you were saying, they're real.
They are real. They are real.
Yeah.
I definitely identify with that because my father's not like a Mam Nora or anything like that, but he didn't like it when we came late, and he's one of those people who lock the gates. But I always jumped, right? Like I always jumped. But it was just like that innocent thing of playing out longer because it was nice. You know, those conversations with your friends outside, but you know those incidents that they endanger our kids if you can look at it in that angle. Because when you say go for it from where you came from, where are you chasing that child to?
Exactly.
You know?
And I think the great thing is most parents might lock you out of the house, but eventually they open the door. They come back inside. It's not like, yes, they'll be like, you know,
hey, something.
Yeah, but they eventually let you back in. So her character is a little extreme. She's an iron fist lady, and I think she feels like she did so, or she went wrong with raising Dinero. So I think there's a huge part of her that doesn't want to make the same mistakes with Naledi. So she holds Naledi very, very close, and is a little tougher on her. I don't know who she's tougher on, but she's quite tough with Naledi because she doesn't want Naledi making the same mistakes that Dinero made. You know, it's those things, and she does talk about generational
curse.
Yeah, we have to break this generational curse and all of that. So she's wary about that, and she plants it in Naledi's head, hey, you know, you're not gonna be having a child outside of wedlock. And yes.
But you know, ladies, what I've picked up is that normally these very strict parents, you find that the kids end up being rebels or they misbehave. So Gogunora was very strict, and we saw what happened to Dineo. So do you think that is also something you wanted to capture in the book? I know you gave us Mamuruti, Linda the Muruti, and in as much as we didn't explore their characters that much, but I know normally the pastor's kids are always associated with naughtiness. So did you want to touch that? Was it intentional, or it somehow just happened to be a potential theme, you know, where we say strict parents sometimes end up having very naughty kids? Do you agree? Disagree?
I think even though Mam Nora is not a pastor, she's close to it. I see a lot of people saying they've slept outside, like their parents didn't. Wow. Didn't let them back in.
Hectic.
I wanted the two sides of the coin. I wanted to show those two sides, and I was doing that with Naledi, and I was doing that with Minnie. So it can go either way. Naledi didn't really, because it is a thing. It's a thing about how you raise your kids. Sometimes, you know, you're too hard on them, and then they go the complete opposite of where you're trying to take them. You know? Or sometimes they become good kids. You know? So, and there are those two characters, Naledi and Minnie, where you see, okay, they raised in similar ways, and both of them learn how to navigate these situations differently, and they also become two very different women in the world. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
No,
so apart from Naledi, who would you say is your favorite character in the book?
My favorite character. I love Lolo. I really like. I know he's not that big in the story, but
yeah,
I
but
really,
he's the guy
I,
from next door.
I love his character. He's so sweet. He's so
yeah.
genuine. He's just, he's fun. He's playful.
I don't get one shell winner.
991 shell and 99.
99.
Yes, bro. That's Lolo. He's a guy's guy. Hey, yeah.
I love him.
One
Yeah.
99. He's playful. He's playful. Even in the
Yeah.
most serious. And I think that's the thing that frustrates Naledi so much. She loves that about him, but it also frustrates her. Bruh, can you be serious in certain cases?
Eh?
Who would you say is
You
your
guys, I
favorite
am
character?
struggling to hear you. So, are you directing something to me, Paballo?
Yes.
All right.
Who
So
is
you want me to
your
say
favorite
something?
character?
Okay. So for me, my favorite character, huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it was quite different, ne? It was quite difficult, I mean, to actually determine who's my favorite, especially because we were following 3 generations of women, ne? And I felt each one of them, there was something I liked about them, and there was something that I didn't like, you know. I really feel that in as much as Nora was so strict, she wasn't entirely bad, but maybe the way she raised Dineo, and even the way she was raising Naledi, it could have led to how their lives turned out. But I think she had good
Yeah.
intentions. Then you go down to the next generation, Dineo, where a lot of people would look at her in a very negative light. Rio Dineo, you know, because she's an interesting character. But when you get to understand how she was raised, you become a better understanding. So I didn't like her behavior. I didn't like the fact that she had this complicated relationship with Naledi, but I think I understood her. You know, then there was Naledi, you know, our girl coming of age, trying to find herself. So there were some things that she did, and I was like, but Naledi. But then I also understood because I was then I was questioning a lot of things, and there were some things you get influenced to do by your friends, some things you're firm on, some things you're not. So it's a bit difficult for me to choose my favorite character, especially because we were following 3 very interesting women, 3 different generations. And if you think about our grandparents, they also grew up in a different time from the time we're growing up in.
Yeah.
So if my grandmother is a bit funky and she fusses about things that I don't fuss about, I understand the context that, oh, she is, after all, you know, from that generation. So it was difficult, really. But Lolo is an interesting guy. I actually think I know a couple of guys who were next door. You know, my grand's house, there were guys who were next door, you know? Yeah, and they were not bad looking. Really. Yeah, they were not bad looking. But I didn't, what happened to Lolo and, what happened to Naledi and Lolo, it's not my story, but they were guys who were next door. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
I think
So we have a question now.
I definitely didn't want perfect characters. That was one thing, because there is no perfect human being. So all of them, there's a good side to Mama Nora, there's a bad side to her, there's a good side to Dineo, there's a bad side to her, there's a good side to Naledi, there's a bad side to her. And all of us are just learning, you know. All of us are trying to figure ourselves out. And that was the thing. It's just about each woman's journey. That's the whole essence of the story.
We have a question from Khosikgadi Book Club. They're saying, getting into character, what was the purpose behind Brianna's character, and what message were you trying to communicate to readers? I think I mean this one segment that caused so much pain into Naledi's journey.
I think first of all, I think most girls have had a Vuyani experience. We just don't talk about it, or something similar, or something close to it, or an experience where you feel like, I get sure, Mara, I think, or I didn't quite like what happened with this guy. You know, you don't know how to really define it. Some people, so it's not even the thing of consent is still a black and white issue. It's still a topic where people don't quite understand what is consent, what's not consent. Can I say this guy violated me? Can I say this guy raped me? No, but I don't feel raped, but I feel uncomfortable. I'm not too sure. And these are just conversations that we can't have. We're not as free to have those conversations, even amongst friends, because this is something that she couldn't even say to Minnie and Itu, that this is something that happened. You don't know how to define it. But it's happened to most of us. It's happened to most of us where you've had an experience that you're just like, I can show, you know. So that's one thing. But a major topic in the whole story, I think, is the conversations that just don't happen within our households. The fact that you could experience something traumatic, but Otaba, that question of, what were you doing there? Yes, I told you. Yes. So we experience a lot of traumatic things, and then you come home and you have to keep a straight face. You can't say "Eish bra" or "Eish mom" or, you know, such and such happened to me, you know. So we just live in environments where we conceal our scars. Because of these teachings, you know, these teachings, like Mam Nora was pushing certain teachings about relationships, about boys, about sex, about all these things, about your body, about, you know. So there's a lot of shame already attached to it, you know. There's shame attached to even naming your body parts. So how now, you know? So it's I wanted to raise that. I wanted us to say their conversation. We need to start opening the lines a little bit within these generations, mothers and daughters, and hopefully when we become mothers, we will do better with our daughters and having better communication about relationship, because battle jola, like, it is what it is, you know. So throwing the Bible and throwing fear also into the mind of a young girl, it can also be damaging. You think you're protecting them from the big bad world, but the fact is they're gonna have to go into the big bad world eventually.
You know, I just want to jump onto that, because I know somewhere in the book, I think it's the character Eve, she blames it on religion. She says religion teaches us or makes us silent or silences us, you know, and that's why we don't talk about some of these things, even what happened to that lady, what Vuyani did. Do you want to touch on that, the effect of religion in such situations? Just how you portrayed it in the book. It doesn't have to be your opinion, but how you portrayed it in the book.
Religion does silence a girl generally, because the fact that even dating is shunned upon in a church setting, but at some point you must be married. I don't know how, I don't know when.
Hey, almost that guy.
Like suddenly, and you grow up in a world where you are taught to turn off that sexual part of yourself as a girl. Turn it off until you're married, and suddenly you must become an overnight freak for your husband. You know, now that you're married, give it up. Like, you must never say no. You must never, you know, when you're sick, you must still give it up. When there's those weird teachings that are taught within the church, and we can never fully engage actually, they don't even engage with us. It's just that thing of saying fornication is a sin or don't do it. That's it. We never delve deeper into, but what happens when I start feeling a certain way? What happens when I start developing feelings? You feel, because you've been taught this is wrong, you feel like you are sinning. And it's just a normal part of growing up. It's a normal part of, it's your human nature, which we cannot ignore, and the more we ignore it, that's when the shame comes into it. That's when the violation happens, because people get violated, you can't speak up about it because it's like, no, it's more, and I've seen situations where girls fall pregnant at church and more choir, like
you're a bad influence. That's what.
That's the thing.
Thank you.
There's things like corrective counseling where they correct the woman's behavior, or I don't know. I can't tell you what happens in corrective counseling, but just the term puts me off a bit. Do you know what I mean? Especially because it's very one-sided. It's so there's definitely a huge part of religion that silences girls in how we grow up, in our experiences, and so we live these secret lives and explore these secret things and are going through these secret challenges that we can't speak to people who've been through it. Our mothers have been through it, our grandmothers have been through it, the people in the church have been through it, but we all want to pretend like no.
I like the Itu character.
Yeah.
Ne?
You like Itu?
She's quite interesting.
I like Itu. And
brave, like
tough, like Itu. I like how she told Mamuruti and Tate Muruti, like, way to get off. Look, don't tell me about your religion. That's the other thing about church people. They will judge you based on your appearance, like they did with Itu. And then how can she about Itu? She's like, she like Nasna Scandal, if you can check on the book. She was just that girl who was revolutionary. She liked Guitar Boy, and that's it. But because she had these piercings, she liked to dye her hair, she had tattoos, and then she was perceived as Sfedo, or, in the eyes of Mamuruti and Tatemuru. But their child was more of that than Itu. I really love that character.
Yeah.
She's tough, man. And I think we have a lot of girls like that nowadays who are just they're very pro-African. They're about embracing their Africanness and their culture and their ancestors, and do you know what I mean? And Itu doesn't care who you are, whether you're a guy she likes, whether you are a woman of the cloth, whether you are whatever you are, the president, she will address you. If you come at her sideways, she's gonna address you, and I think there's bits and pieces of each girl that each person can take, there's good parts of them, and I think that's a good part of Itu, even though I think sometimes her timing is a bit off-ish. It's not always the right time to just hoy or the appropriate place, but there's bits and pieces. Even Minnie for me, she's not all bad. Like, it just depends on your perception. Really. She's a hot girl who likes to have a good time, and that's what it is. But she's very focused, she's very hot. Actually, all of them are quite focused and determined.
They love their craft, eh? Sure. Like me ballet, this one do me arts, and then naledi, drama.
I think it's also important to show that, you know what, Black girls in South Africa, we're not just always waiting on someone to rescue us. Like, Black girls are working hard. Black girls are ambitious. They are, you know, go-getters. They on it, you know. It's not just about finding a man to provide and whatever. And if that's what you want, that's okay. That's do you by all means. But also it's also a thing of, you can't also judge a book by its cover. Even though Nini is a typical slay queen vibe kind of girl, but she works hard.
Yeah.
You know, she's very focused, she's very ambitious. In fact, she's the hardest working out of all of them, you know.
Yeah.
So let's talk daddy issues. Let's talk about the fact Naledi had a father who wasn't present, basically. Let's talk about that. You know, why did you give us a young girl whose father was sort of there but not there? You know, where did you want to take us as the reader? Because I think daddy issues contribute to some of the bad choices that, you know, young girls make when coming to men. But was that what you were trying to tell us, or that's where you were taking us?
For me, and like I was saying, I was telling a South African story, a typical, whatever typical is, a typical South African story. Even though I grew up with my dad in the household, I noticed that most of my friends did not. If there's 5 of us muskiming, no, let me say, if there's 6 of us muskiming, 2 of us will have a present father, and the other 4 don't. That is unfortunately the story of our generation of young girls, and I hope the next generation it's different. I really hope it's different. But with our generation, most Black girls grow up without a father present in the household, and that was the whole setup for me. And also now, how do you navigate relationships and your relationships with opposite sex when you've never really had that model within the house? Or how do you have healthy relationships with the opposite sex when there's never been that sort of model in your home growing up?
Yeah, that is truly a story of many girls. It's really, I really do wish that we, you know, are able to build, you know, the model type of families where there's a mom, dad, and they raise kids, because it's our time now, you know. So yes, Paballo.
Oh, who's this? Karabo. Did you see that character when I love Karabo, but she was so short-lived.
Unfortunately.
Right? Yeah. And I loved that scene when she died, and when it happened, when I was reading that chapter when I was talking to Tshegofatso, saying that okay, I'm in this chapter now. And when I was reading it, you know, usually I read out loud. And when I do that, I sort of imagine this book into a audiobook. Do you think you would do that? If so, I want to act that part. I want to read that book. I really loved that part. It was so nice. The narration, the emotion behind it. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, the funeral scene of it. Yeah, I think that took me a while to write it, to get it right. Probably with my last submissions, I was still busy with that scene. Like, I don't know, because it's also a moment where they connect for the first time, like proper connect. Naledi and Lolo's relationship, sort of, that's their coming together, because they both. Karabo is the anchor. You know, she's the one who centers them. She's the one who calls them to order. She's the one who advises them. She's, you know, so it's like you take that anchor away and they're both feeling, even though we don't really see it with Lolo in that, although he kind of goes crazy after Karabo, he goes on his own.
Yes.
You know. But yeah, it's a moment for them where they really form a bond from that. Yeah.
Paballo says the audiobook because she wants to be Karabo.
I want that job.
You could be Karabo. I would love to have an audiobook. I would like to hear these voices. Hey, I would love to hear these voices.
Like, I have them in my mind, you know, Bo knows people. Like, I have that character right now, you know. So I'm rich.
You could do Nozipo. You could, if you speak your Zulu properly.
Yeah, no, I can. My Zulu. No, my Zulu is a typical South African Zulu, Kasi Zulu. No, I'll manage.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not like you. I know we're not local Zulu. You can't, but I can survive.
Well, you can. Yeah. No, but it would be nice to have an audiobook.
Yeah,
nice.
Really
those different languages.
It really would. And that's the great thing. It's the different languages in it. Yeah, it's the different languages and the different characters and the slang. Would be really nice to hear it.
Like, we haven't spoken about that character actually. That guy.
You know, people don't ask me about Becky, hey?
It's because they don't like him. But you know what I loved? If there's one thing that I realized, Dineo, I loved her when she stood up for herself. Go Becky. You know, Becky would tell her off, but she always came back. Even though he hit her, but she will always say, oh, half or whatever. You know, she always had like a comeback. And I really loved that she was strong. And that's how she was able to go back home. You know, there's those people who are stuck in marriages. They can't go out because Bantu was a team. But Dineo was like, okay, sharp, it's fine. Talk about me. You've always talked about me.
And you know what? Even when she went back home, people have been talking about Dineo from
first day.
Yeah, people have been saying whatever they say about her. So I think that it forced her to have this thick skin. You know, she's a person who's constantly been fighting, and she blocker. You know, a horse has those things.
Yeah.
I don't call those things, whatever. Yeah, but she's a tunnel vision girl. She's very focused on, this is the type of future that I want for.
Yeah.
Whether it's for herself, whether it's for Naledi, we don't know. But she has a vision in mind, and she's so focused on it. But also, there's things that she will sacrifice, but there's a line that you don't cross. You can't silence her. Even Mama Nora, she couldn't quite. Yeah. She's like a wild horse. You can't tame her. She's just one of those. You can't tame her.
Yeah. You know, another interesting scene is it's actually at the beginning of the book. The boob sweeping, like sweeping the breasts. Quite interesting.
Oh, yes. And I also experienced that. Hey, it also happened to me.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does it mean?
Well, according to my mom, because she's the one that swept my breasts, and she said it was to prevent them from growing larger. So I don't know for others, but that's what it signified for me. And they didn't grow that large, so I kind of believed it. Yeah.
I don't know. It happened to me, and it was done by my grandmother, my one grandmother. And then I went to my other granny's house, and she was like, I need to sweep. She kept saying that, I need to sweep your breasts. I need to sweep your breasts. And I'm like, thinking in the back of my mind, but they've been swept already. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, what's the whole point? But I still have very, very big boobs now. So I don't know what the theory is.
What did they signify to you? What did they say
I
meant?
don't know what they were doing. I didn't even ask. I guess that's my lady moment. I didn't ask, but now I'm sitting with my double D's and I'm like,
oh, what was the point?
What are we doing here? What were we trying to achieve? So I don't know. Because also the lady is a girl she's a big girl.
Yeah.
You know, she's got the booty, she's got the bum, she's got the boobs. So I don't know. I don't know if it worked. I don't think it worked in the book.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
With me, they didn't sweep my boobs, but it was a conversation that was happening, you know, amongst my friends around, I don't know what grade it was, you know. And because everyone was saying that it's being done to them, I decided to sweep my own because people were saying you should. And at home, they were not doing it for me, you know. So I'm like, no, you know, you must sweep them, you know. You must sweep them. And when my friends were talking about it, they were saying it's to prevent them from growing. And I think when you are still growing, you know, it scares you, the idea of having your boobs becoming big, because people always make it seem like a bad thing. So when people were sweeping their boobs and Nako Hyde were not sweeping mine, I was like, you know what? Lifiela Shili.
So you did it yourself?
I don't know why I was doing it. Everyone was doing it, and next time I get that train in Chi, so I was like, I'm jumping on the train. I don't know why I did it, but yeah.
So how are your boobs? Were they bigger? Or
No. My boobs are small. I've got small boobs, I've got small boobs, but I don't think it's because of the sweeping, you know. I really think it's not because of the sweeping. Yeah.
Maybe
it's just liking things.
Maybe it's because
maybe it's because I did it, you know.
Yeah. It's supposed to be someone else. And I think was it done at a certain time, Paballo?
Yes, in the morning.
Early. Yeah.
Very early in the morning, like about my
Yeah. Early hours.
Yeah. My friends were doing it.
Maybe your time was wrong. Maybe your time was wrong also.
Yeah, but my friends didn't tell me about the time. They were busy saying they're busy sweeping up at home. And I'm like, hey, Lynn, I'm jumping on this train. But it's liking things. And I think it's that whole thing of being young and having these conversations with your friends who are not very well informed. And then you take bits and pieces and you think, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be done. You know, so it's exactly what you say. If we were having these conversations with the right people, we would know, you know. My grandmother, my mom, they probably would have explained why they're not doing it, you know. But I was like, people are doing it. Everywhere I go, people are doing it. Yeah, and I was trying to tell them, when are you going to sweep them? Yeah.
But the thing is, your friends become your counselors. Your friends, even Minnie is like the designated guru for all things growth, where it comes to teaching a lady things about life.
Yeah,
you know. And I don't know if she's the best person. I don't know if she gives great advice. She tries in her own mini way of doing it, but we always run to our friends. Your friends become your counselors in most things, and I don't know if that's yeah. I don't know if
I
that's
think in
the.
the beginning, when we are teenagers, I think our friends are like the go-to people. And then later into our adulthood, you realize, but mare, my friend Mananta
Yeah,
Kamo, you know,
yeah,
or
yeah,
especially with relationship advice. When we are young,
yeah.
we are free to talk about our virginity, we are free to talk about our sexual life. And then as you grow older, you guard yourself from talking about certain things because you can realize now, Mara, this friend is actually not what I thought she was, because of maybe the different experiences. Maybe your relationship is going well. Mine now is not going that well. So I'll give you
Mm,
advice based on what's happening in my life.
mm, I see. I see.
Mm.
Like sometimes your friends are speaking from a place of bitterness or
Yes.
advising you from, oh, I've had a bad experience. So,
Yeah.
you know, I
Mm.
get I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Mm.
saying.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I
I
think
know.
as
When we
long
are
as you have
young,
genuine people, if you have
yeah.
genuine people, that's important.
Yeah.
That's important. And I think also for me, friendship is, it means a lot, man. I think every girl needs a good set of friends. I know people will be like, stay away from friends, but you need an outlet
You
firstly.
do. You do. Yeah. Yeah.
You need people who are going through the same things that you are. I also think about, if Naledi did not have a mini and an Itu, like what sort of girl would she be? A woman in the world, you know?
Mm.
Yes, it
Mm.
wasn't always the best advice, but they taught her about life. It's like, you gotta throw her sometimes into the deep end and see and learn
Yeah.
how to swim. Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
friends are
yeah.
important. I do agree. Um, yeah, friends are good, man. We do need friends, especially there's certain things that you really need to take out of your system, so that you can move on. If for example, you're having like a bad situation that you really need to talk about, and maybe your sister or your brother is not one to talk to about that situation at that moment. So a friend
Mm,
would be one to say, hey, look, this is what's happening to me, and
mm,
they would kind of take you through maybe their experiences or what they think you should do on that situation. Like for example, Tshego and I, we are fairly like new friends, and
mm.
I was going through something, and she advised me. Remember, Tshego,
Yeah, I
you
remember.
advised me to do like a certain thing, and I applied that.
Mm.
Well, I partly applied it, but yeah, it helped me where it could,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mm.
situations like those, you do need friends. I mean, it's life. We do need people around us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So I know another big theme is the theme around identity, né? And I know you portrayed it with the hair stuff, with the Bantu knots. Why did you choose to make identity such a big theme in your book? I know it's a coming of age book, but then I want to know why you chose that as one of your themes.
Because for me, it's a big question. I think that most, especially Black girls, have. You know, nowadays it's this thing of what's African, how do we express our pride as Black African women, you know and this then applies to how you carry yourself in the world, and everything about you, people put it under a microscope, whether it's how you wear your hair, whether it's how you dress, whether it's and um there's someone who is like Idu, who's very free. She's a person who reads a lot, and that influences a lot about how she expresses herself. But even in her researching and reading and whatever and trying to figure herself out, it doesn't take away from her own personality. She still applies her personality to how she carries herself in the world, how she dresses, how she expresses herself, you know. But I think that's a big question in for most of us, you know. You were even asking me about brand and whatever. When you were asking me about my brand, I was even taking it to, besides just the writing stuff, it was just, for me, it was like Lebo in the world. Who are you? You know, when you speak about brand, because
Yes.
it's a huge, yeah, identity is a huge part of who we are. And this is a story about a girl who's trying to figure out who she is in the world. And identity is always the one thing that I think people want to also paint Black girls with the same brush. So I wanted to interrogate that. Did I say that word right?
Yeah.
Interrogate.
Yeah. Yes. That's English.
Yes, I wanted to interrogate that question. You know, we're so different. We are so different. We express ourselves in very different ways. Our personalities are different. Our dreams, our ambitions, our views of the world are so different, and it's all relevant. All of it matters. All of it counts. All of it, you know, all of it is good. All of it is good. You know, there's not one. We cannot box a Black woman and say this is who you should be. This is how you should behave. This is how you should dress. This is how you must carry yourself in a room of people. You know. Even there's a conversation that Itu had where it was Guitar Boy who was like, I don't date Black girls.
Hey, like, I hate it when Black guys say that. Like, yeah. Like, what's wrong? Like, chill, guys.
Because
that guy, the Guitar Boy, I don't buy the story. I think Nana
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're painting us all with the same brush, and I've heard a lot of people saying that Black girls hate themselves, or we're not proud of who we are, or whatever, and you're gonna base that on the fact that I choose to wear a wig.
Yeah.
No, but you know, it's yeah. So it was an important topic because I feel like it's a topic that's raised everywhere we go. Everywhere we go, yeah.
That's true. What else? Township Lifestyle. So you speak a lot about Magwina Snook, ne? So I felt like I wasn't a proper township girl because I've never had Magwina Snook. Yes, I've had Magwina.
Really?
I've had Spato. And then you're like Magwina Snook. I'm like, but did I miss out?
I think so. Me too.
Guys, and you know what? Because I went to Cape Town and the snook is different to the township snook because it's not the snook. That, I don't know if you know the snook I'm talking about.
Yes, that's why.
I know snook. I know, what? Yes.
Small square thing, and it's so salty. It's like salty, but that's how we ate it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a Soweto thing.
Probably, ne?
Yeah, I think maybe it's a Soweto thing. But that's how we ate magwenya. Even with what's that? White liver.
White liver. I know white liver. Now snook was also like you know what? I wanted to go buy them. And I think I will. I think I'll go buy snook and just have that experience because I don't have it.
Really? Oh wow. Maybe I guess maybe it's a Soweto thing. But definitely Kopimvili, that's how we ate it. Like, and I think it doesn't matter which part of Pimville you come from, like everybody ate it like that. It's snook fish lemakwenya. Standard.
That's standard, yeah.
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 Le white
Right.
fever.
Yeah. Do you have anything else, Abby?
No, I think we've covered
Movies
everything.
you had, ne?
I think
Yeah.
so, because I was going to ask about your favorite chapter, the two of
Oh,
you. Maybe let's end it off with
with that.
your favorite chapter.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question. I'll ask just after answering your question. So
Mm.
I'm not sure if it's the entire chapter, but I know every time you like started a chapter, you would use like an idiom or a proverb. You know, you would use it in vernacular and then translate it, direct translation, I mean, into English.
Yeah.
So there's one where I think it was saying something along the lines of, your it's the chapter where Naledi was basically saying, before you die or before you get into trouble, someone warned you. It's something along those lines.
Mm.
Yeah. So for me, going into that chapter, I was excited because I truly agreed, with the title of that chapter. That yeah, and I going into that, I was like, yo, so Naledi's not gonna listen to it, about seed, you know. I was like, yeah. So
Right?
that's one. Yeah. So that's one that I can think of right now. Yeah.
So basically, New Caesar is like trouble.
Yeah. So, from the title of the chapter, from that, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I know Itu has warned Naledi. And because of this, because I was also trying to follow the themes, so whenever you start a chapter with an idiom, I'm expecting something along those lines in this chapter.
Mm.
So I was like,
Yeah.
no, I suspect that this girl is not going to listen. And she's going to
Aish,
cry, you know?
aish, you
Yeah.
didn't listen.
Aish.
But
Yeah.
I had hope that maybe Caesar would. He played me. I thought he would be like a genuine guy. He
No, it
fooled
was,
me. Like
obvious.
just
It's
like
not genuine. Mm-mm. I knew it. Like, I was like, mm-mm. Really? He was doing all the things. Like, there were so many red flags. Even the part where he didn't actually say what they were. When you're dating a guy, he needs
Oh
to
yeah,
say,
yeah.
yeah,
like, oh, let me part, But that wasn't really
Yeah.
happening. He wants to see you at certain times, and
Yeah.
already people are saying,
yeah.
what guy is not really so good. So I was like, hey, I'm preparing myself, I'm going
I
to hug my lady when all that bad stuff happens. I'm preparing myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I think most girls ignore the red flags, eh?
Yeah.
And you make
Aish.
excuses. You make excuses like,
Hmm.
no. He's just busy during the day. I mean, he's got classes. I've got
Mm,
classes, you
Hmm.
know. So after school works.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I just think for me, he's just a guy. He's just a guy.
Hmm.
He's not even like a bad
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not on that Vianney tip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. But I
And and
guess,
the and I think in the back of my mind, I also think also Lolo might have had his Sizwe moment. I think most guys have had their Sizwe
yeah, I was
moment.
gonna say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
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 It's a phase that they all pass. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they're just not honest. And
Hmm.
I think it would save so many girls so much. Like just say like from the get-go that this is what I want. I don't want anything serious. I don't want, this is what I'm looking for. We're just gonna hang out. Oh, it's just a fling. Or,
Mm,
like just
mm.
state your business from the get-go so that we're both on the same page. Don't surprise me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's the problem with most guys.
Yeah.
But I
It's just
think they do that because if they tell you the truth, then you might say, Kishap.
Hmm.
yeah, true.
Hmm.
True. So
Yeah.
you'd rather use me though.
Yes, yes.
They keep it,
A lot of guys do.
You'd rather
Yeah.
use me and play me. Because that's where the problem comes in. Then it's like you're sketchy. You see? You
Hmm.
start being sketchy when you
Mm,
do that. Yeah.
mm. And your
Hmm.
favorite
No.
chapter level?
Yo, that's I think the chapters towards the end, like I said, I like Lolo. So any scene with him, I liked. I like the
Yeah.
scene. Yeah, I like the scene with him and Naledi towards the end.
Yeah. Yes. Me too. Me
Yes, where
too.
she opens up to him. I like that part. And I actually like that whole chapter from
Yeah.
Makarabo waking them up in the morning
Hey, hey,
to her
hey,
unleashing her
hey,
woman
hey.
to how it ends. I enjoy the whole thing. To the people costrating like, yo, bruh, like you did that.
You managed to.
Yeah,
Hey,
like yo.
hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
also like that. I also like the last scene. And I didn't anticipate it for some reason. Because I had like when Mom Nora said Naledi's body had changed, remember that part?
yes.
And I was like, yo, what if this girl is pregnant? That was my first
No, she
thing.
didn't say her body has changed. She said you've changed.
Oh, she said you've changed.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, because I had like this anxiety, yo, what if this girl now fall
No, I think
pregnant and that pill didn't work?
Naledi had her own fears about her own body looking different because of things that people tell you. They tell
Yes,
you,
yes.
you know, she had her own anxiety.
Yeah,
And
because township
yeah,
was when you have sex, it's like your body starts to be shaky. You know those myths that
yes,
township,
yes,
like people can see that you having sex now.
yeah,
Mm, mm,
yeah,
So she had that anxiety, ne?
yeah.
mm, mm.
I think
You know,
everybody was scared for Naledi with that because I've heard a lot of people saying, "Joe, thank God."
yeah.
That
Yeah.
And with
Yeah.
me, I also thought that, but I was more worried that it was gonna be. Is it Vuyan? You know the bad one? Yeah, Vuyan. I guess
Wait,
I thought it was gonna be
wait.
Vuyan because I know for a fact he didn't use protection based on what I read.
Hmm.
So I was worried. I know she did sort of take the pill, but even as I was reading, I'm like, I think she took it too late. For
mm,
someone
Yes.
took it too late, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have like 72 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Is it
Mm.
72 hours
I
to
think
to to
it's
take
hours,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So I felt like it was
So,
because as I was reading.
oh, yeah. No, I was also there. Don't worry. I was also calculating as I was writing. I was like, how many hours is
Mm,
it before? Because
mm,
she takes it that what happens with Brianna happens in the morning,
uh,
and then he
Yes.
drops her
Yes.
off and then he drives away.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And
the
then she
next
takes
day at
the
church,
pill on Monday
on Monday at school.
at
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is why I'm saying mini, you need some friends.
Yeah. Who are like,
Your go-to girl.
mm,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like no questions asked. Don't interrogate me. Don't.
mm,
Yeah.
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 You know, as we were speaking now, I know we were about to conclude, but as we were speaking, I remembered that actually colorism, ne? I felt like there is also an element of colorism because umnyama, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Kazu.
Yeah, man.
Umnyama, yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
I was like, okay, maybe that is low-key another theme because, you know, when you're dark, historically, even now, people would say you're not pretty, you know.
Mm,
So you
mm.
also want to capture that in a way. Yes, no.
Yeah. I think it's still a thing. Hey,
Mm.
I don't know if you call it yellow bonism.
Hey, yellow bone is a yellow bone.
It's a thing. It's a thing
Yeah.
within Black communities. We just view light-skinned people as beautiful.
Yeah,
It's better now, but I think it's better because girls are changing that narrative. We're changing that
yeah,
narrative for ourselves. You know, I
yeah,
see a lot of girls tagging melanin popping and putting all the, like, you know, embracing the darkness and all of that. We're changing it, but I don't know if guys still view the lighter skinned girls as more beautiful. It still seems like that to me.
Yeah,
Even though it's not open like it used to be of yo yellow bone, you know, but it's a thing, you know. Light skinned girls are the beautiful girls or the pretty girls, and so the beauty ideals are explored even in terms of body.
Yes.
And I describe bodies a lot. Like, I want you to get the picture, you know, whether it's Sis Nosipo, she's voluptuous. Like, you can see her, you know, her booty moves. So when she walks, guys look obololo, like that, you know. Or whether it's Mini with her slender, fit body, you know. But also I think with bodies it's different, and because guys like different things. It's more so with our bodies, it's more so girls with our own insecurities. Girls have perceptions of what is a hot body, even though guys they like different things. Yeah, but complexion, I think it's the opposite. Yeah, I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you're totally making sense. I did see that you were covering all these body issues, you know, our ballerina girl trying by all means to be as slender as possible. And Itu saying, but men want like me, do you know? Men want. So I did see how you tried to capture that. Yeah.
And even the fact that small girls have their own insecurities as well. In the same way that a lady who's a big girl has her own insecurities about how she looks. Someone who's not so fixated on that is Itu. She's just floating in her own world, I think. She's very self-assured. She's a very self-assured girl, which I think is it's a rare thing to find. Yeah.
All right. I think my last question, I don't know if you have a question, but my last question would be, are you currently writing another book? Should we be expecting another book next year, 2 years' time?
Maybe in 2 years, yes, in 2 years' time. I think I need a year or two. But I'm always writing. It's just tricky, man. It's very tricky. People are like, we wanted Neo's story, we want like a whole thing focused on Neo, and I'm like, okay. But there's a part of me that's like, I want to move away from the story for a bit and do something different. And there's the challenge of, you want it to be better than the first thing. Yeah, so I think I'm in my head a lot. I'm in my head quite a bit about it, but I am writing. I'm always writing, but it's 1,000 different things in my head. It does, So maybe 2 years.
We'll be here for another one.
We'll have another.
I know you guys you'll always be there. I know. You guys.
So Paballo, you don't have another question, I guess?
No, I don't have another question. I was going to ask about the book. I was actually going to ask if there's a follow-up on this one, but you've already answered that. So.
Okay. We'll see.
Thank you. I'm not sure how long this was supposed to be, but I think I took Paballo's advice. I was like, you know what, let it flow, and I hope it did flow. Thank you so much, Lebo, you know, for agreeing to do this with us.
I think we spoke for quite a while. Like, we started at 7.
Yeah, what time is it?
It's 9. Wow.
Yeah, we're strong. We talk a lot, but we had a lot to talk about. But ladies, thank you so much. You know, thank you, Lebo, for allowing us to interview you. Paballo, my friend, thank you for, you know, having this sharing this moment with me. I really enjoyed doing this with you. But I think before we leave, you can also say your goodbyes. Should we go check your questions? Okay, thank you guys. Okay, Paballo, let's just check the questions. Sorry, guys. Nonhle is saying, I'm not done reading Bantu notes yet, but I'm hoping you never stop writing. There's something refreshing about your writing. Oh,
thank you, Nante.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy, thank you.
But let's just read what the others were saying, because some of them are showing you some love. And I think for you as a writer, you need to know what your people think. You can always ask a guy if they do view women like that. Okay, tell us, class, do you view women like that? If you're still watching. I think he's referring to the part where we were talking about the different shapes and sizes, the colors, the shades, the different shades and all. If he wants to tell us what he likes, if he has a preference, he can do that.
I think everybody does have a preference, eh? Even girls themselves have preferences.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just that I don't think we're as like in your face as guys are. You know how we were saying, guys, when they see you, they comment, they say. Whereas girls were a little bit more subtle.
So Tuman is asking a question in the question box, and he's saying, as a writer, how do you know that the book has ended? As a writer, how do you know that the book has ended?
That's so tricky. I guess when you have nothing else to say, when you have nothing else to say, it's like when you're satisfied. When you're satisfied and you've got nothing more to say on it. But yeah. I struggled with my ending a lot. I think I struggled with my ending, but I knew I was writing the last page, but I just didn't know how to end it. But I knew the story must conclude at this point.
Yeah.
I
think you've answered. Are you reading something, Babal, from the chat? Or should I continue reading?
Bukam also says, I would love to see more South African books books turned into audiobooks. So yes to Babal's dream.
To that.
Yes.
And then Cat Books again says, it was a lovely convo. I enjoyed it. So sorry, ladies, I have to jump. Okay, we'll save it, Cat. We'll save it. Sorry, Tisette is saying running out of data. Thank you, ladies. I really enjoy it. Bye.
Thank you guys for joining.
Okay. Kwesi Heidi was actually responding to our question about the boobs. So what Kosi Heidi is saying is that the opposite actually happens. They actually become bigger. So I think it was about the sweeping. So she says that bigger. My aunt killed my teacup dreams. So guys, there are a couple of them. I think we missed them. Baby is saying you did well with the book. Yeah, I think I've covered most of them. Sorry guys for not going through some of your questions during the live. I think me being new to this, it was just quite difficult. And I think also because Paballo was also interviewing, it was quite difficult to go through all of them. Do they get saved, these questions, Paballo, when the live gets saved? Or these comments? Do you know?
I think so.
Okay. Then we'll check them out there. If they do get saved, we'll check them out there. Lebo, Luena, you can check them out and then you comment if there are questions that have been directed to you.
I think on your post they can ask for.
Okay, they can ask.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be a very long live, but I'll try to see if I can share it with you guys so that you can also maybe post it on your platforms. We'll see. We'll try our best. Yeah. Okay, ladies. I guess I'm the one who needs to exit last, but thank you so much to everyone who watched. Ra leboga, baie dankie. You know, there's other
Yes.
languages. Me and my
Thank you,
limited.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Thank you
Lebo, for
so
your
much,
time.
guys. Thank you for having this conversation with me and reading and being responsive. And yeah, thanks for everyone who joined.
Yes, yes,
I appreciate
definitely.
that. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the Bookstagram community, like Justin J. You guys are the
Yes,
best.
yes. Such a beautiful community.
Yes. All
Okay.
right, ladies.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.